everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving deep into a book that defined a generation and honestly still captivates readers of all ages. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone.
Or Sorcerer's Stone, depending on where you first read it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Get ready for a really in-depth look, packed with fascinating details. But before we jump in, if you enjoy this kind of content, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give this video a like so you don't miss our future deep dives.
Definitely helps us out.
So for this deep dive, we're drawing on various sources, including info from the Harry Potter wiki and, of course, excerpts from the book itself.
Yeah.
Our mission today is basically to unpack the magic, understand why this story resonated so strongly, and maybe uncover a few details you might have missed along the way.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it, how a story that, on the surface, seems fairly simple. A young boy finds out he's a wizard just completely captured the global imagination.
It really did.
We'll be looking at everything from where the idea came from and its journey to publication, right through to key plot points and maybe some behind-the-scenes tidbits.
Exactly. We'll explore how the idea sparked, the hurdles J.K. Rowling faced getting it published, and even some interesting facts about translations and adaptations. So if you've ever wondered what made this first book so special, you're definitely in the right place.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's start at the beginning. Attribution and publication. The first thing, as you mentioned, is that title difference. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone in the UK,
Right.
but Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone in the US. What does that tell us about, publishing decisions?
Well, it's a really interesting case study, I think.
Yeah.
Scholastic, the U.S. publisher, changing Philosopher to Sorcerer.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of shows how publishers think about specific audiences.
Yeah.
Maybe they felt Sorcerer was just more direct, more immediately magical for American kids, whereas Philosopher might sound a bit, academic.
A bit heavy, maybe.
Yeah, or abstract. Apparently, even Bloomsbury, the UK publisher, considered calling it Harry Potter and the School of Magic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which, interestingly enough, ended up being the literal French translation, Harry Potter à l'école des sorciers.
Yeah.
So it just shows how much the title can be shaped by perceived market appeal.
That's fascinating. And behind the story, of course, is the author J.K. Rowling, though, as many people know, that wasn't quite the name on the very first cover, was it? What's the story with the K?
Ah, right. The J.K. Rowling pseudonym. That was actually at the request of the publisher, Bloomsbury.
Okay.
The J is for Joanne, her first name.
Mm-hmm.
But the K was added in honor of her grandmother, Kathleen. The thinking at the time, which seems kind of wild now, was that using initials would sort of obscure the fact that the author was a woman. They were worried it might put off young male readers.
Wow. Looking back now with the massive success she had, it's pretty ironic, isn't it?
Totally ironic.
Yeah.
Shows how much things have changed, maybe.
Yeah.
Or just how wrong those initial assumptions were.
And the book covers themselves are so iconic. You've got illustrators like Mary Grand-Pré for the U.S. editions.
Yeah, that very distinct style.
Thomas Taylor for the original UK cover, which has that nostalgic feel. And then later, Jim Kay's amazing illustrated editions. We should also mention the translators, like Arthur A. Levine in the U.S., who was also the editor, really playing a crucial role. How important are these visual and translation aspects to the experience?
Oh, they're huge. Absolutely huge. The illustrators give us the first visual anchor for the world. Mary Grand-Pré's style is Harry Potter for a whole generation of American readers.
Yeah, definitely.
And Thomas Taylor's original has that classic, slightly more traditional fancy vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Translators, well, they have the immense challenge of capturing Rowling's voice, her invented words, the humor. It's what allows the story to travel globally.
Makes sense. And the publishers, Bloomsbury in the UK, Scholastic in the US, they were the ones who finally took the chance. The publication dates were staggered too, June 97 in the UK, September 98 in the US. You might even notice the page counts vary between editions. Why is that?
That just comes down to the nuts and bolts of publishing, really. Different publishers, different countries. They have their own design standards, typesetting, paper choices.
Okay.
So font size, line spacing, even minor layout tweaks can change the total page count. It doesn't usually mean the story itself is different, just the presentation. And the different release dates reflect publishing schedules, translation time, marketing strategies for each region.
Gotcha. And Philosopher's Stone is, of course, book one in a 7-book series that completely took over the world. We know Rowling dedicated it to 3 important women: Jessica, her daughter, Anne, her mother, and Di, her sister.
Yes.
Her mother, Anne, sadly passed away from multiple sclerosis while Rowling was writing. How much do you think that personal loss might have shaped the themes in the books?
I think it had a profound impact. You really feel it. The
Yeah.
themes of death, loss, grief, memory, they run so deep throughout the entire series, starting right here. Dealing with the death of parents is Harry's foundational trauma. It feels like Rowling's own experience probably lent a real emotional weight and authenticity to how she wrote about those incredibly difficult themes. It resonates with so many readers who've faced loss.
Absolutely. And the story of getting this book published is almost legendary in itself. It was rejected by, 12 publishers before Bloomsbury finally said yes?
12. Yeah, it's incredible. It really speaks volumes about persistence, doesn't it?
It really does.
And also about how subjective the publishing world can be. The story goes that it was the 8-year-old daughter of the Bloomsbury chairman who read the first chapter.
Aleph Newton, yeah.
That's the one. She demanded the next chapter immediately, and that apparently convinced her father to take it on. Just goes to show, sometimes all it takes is one enthusiastic reader.
What a story. And now you see signed first editions fetching astronomical sums at auction. That shows the immense value fans place on it. Plus, it won numerous awards, hit the top of bestseller lists like the New York Times. What did that kind of success mean?
It was massive, not just for the book, but for children's and YA fantasy as a whole. Getting onto the main New York Times list, not just the children's list, was a huge deal.
Right.
It really helped legitimize the genre in the eyes of the wider literary world and, paved the way for a lot of other fantasy authors. It proved these books weren't just for kids.
But it wasn't all smooth sailing. There was controversy, too, wasn't there? Accusations of promoting witchcraft, some schools or libraries banning it?
Oh, yeah, that definitely happened. Certain religious groups were very concerned about the magic elements, seeing it as promoting witchcraft or the occult. It faced quite a few challenges in some parts of the U.S., particularly.
But interestingly, some other commentators, including some Christian ones, found positive values in it, like self-sacrifice and love conquering evil.
Exactly. It shows how differently people can interpret the same text. While some focused on the magic as problematic, others saw these deeper universal themes of good versus evil, the importance of love, courage, loyalty, things that align with many value systems.
It's a complex reception. And then, of course, you have the adaptations audiobooks read by Stephen Fry or Jim Dale,
Fantastic audiobook.
video games, and that huge blockbuster movie in 2001 directed by Chris Columbus. How did those adaptations change how people saw the world?
They just expanded the reach exponentially, didn't they? Audiobooks brought it to life in a new way. Games let you, be in Hogwarts.
Yeah.
And the film, well, for millions, the film became the definitive visual representation. It gave faces to the characters, a look to Hogwarts that maybe solidified the images people had from reading, or even replaced them. It brought it to an even wider audience.
Definitely. Okay, so for anyone who might need a quick refresher, or maybe it's just been a while, let's briefly run through the plot. Philosopher's Stone introduces us to Harry Potter,
Our hero.
an orphan living a pretty miserable life with his awful aunt, uncle, and cousin, the Dursleys. Then, on his 11th birthday, his whole world turns upside down. He finds out he's a wizard and has been accepted to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. What's the most striking thing about that initial reveal?
It's just the sheer contrast, isn't it? From this mundane, oppressive, loveless existence in the cupboard under the stairs
Right?
to this sudden explosion of magic and possibility. It's pure wish fulfillment, but grounded in his relatable misery beforehand. It's discovering your true identity was hidden from you.
And he learns the truth about his parents. They weren't killed in a car crash, as he'd been told. They were murdered by the dark wizard Lord Voldemort. And somehow, Voldemort couldn't kill baby Harry, leaving him with just that lightning bolt scar. That scar is more than just a mark, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. From the very beginning, the scar is this symbol of his survival, his connection to Voldemort, and the mystery surrounding that night. It tingles, it hurts. It's a constant reminder and a source of intrigue for both Harry and the reader.
At Hogwarts, Harry finds something he never really had before. True friends. He meets Ron Weasley.
Loyal, funny Ron.
And the incredibly smart, Muggle-born Hermione Granger. The three of them quickly become inseparable and get drawn into a mystery surrounding the legendary Philosopher's Stone.
Which is hidden somewhere in the school.
Exactly, a stone that can grant eternal life and turn metal into gold. What works so well about that central trio?
They just balance each other perfectly. Ron brings the heart, the loyalty, the knowledge of the wizarding world from growing up in it.
Yeah.
Hermione brings the brains, the logic, the dedication to rules, but also immense bravery. And Harry, Well, Harry's the focal point, the one with the destiny, but he relies so much on their friendship and skills. Their dynamic is the core of the series.
They initially suspect Professor Snape, the brooding potions master who seems to hate Harry on sight.
Yeah, he's the obvious red herring, isn't he?
Totally. But the real culprit turns out to be much more surprising. They discover it's actually the stuttering, seemingly harmless Professor Quirrell,
Quirrell. Who would have thought?
who's secretly working for Voldemort. And Voldemort himself is literally living on the back of Quirrell's head, trying to use him to steal the stone. How effective was that twist?
Oh, it was brilliant. Such a great misdirection. Rowling plays on our expectations. The dark, imposing Snape seems like the villain.
Right.
And Quirrell is just nervous. The reveal of Voldemort under the turban is genuinely shocking and pretty grotesque. It really ramps up the stakes for the finale.
Okay, let's revisit some key moments chapter by chapter to really feel the story again. Chapter 1, The Boy Who Lived. It sets the scene perfectly, the very ordinary, very unpleasant Dursleys.
Ah, the Dursleys.
And these strange magical occurrences happening all around Britain after Voldemort's downfall. Then Dumbledore, McGonagall as a cat, and giant Hagrid delivering baby Harry to Privet Drive. It's such an iconic opening.
It really is. That contrast, again, the mundane street, the magical figures arriving in the dead of night. You immediately know this isn't just any story. It hooks you from page 1.
10 years later, chapter 2, The Vanishing Glass. We see Harry's grim life in the cupboard, and then that incident at the zoo.
The boa constrictor.
Yeah. Where the glass disappears and the snake seems to understand him. It's the first real, undeniable flicker of his own magic. How important is that moment?
It's crucial. It's the first hint for Harry himself that something's different about him, something he can't explain. For the reader, it's confirmation, okay, the magic is real and it's in him, despite the Dursleys trying to stamp it out.
Then, chapter 3, The Letters from No One. The flood of Hogwarts letters arriving, the Dursleys going to more and more absurd lengths to stop him getting one.
Hiding on that rock in the sea.
Exactly. It's almost comical, but it underlines how desperate they are to deny his identity. What does that relentless arrival of letters signify?
It's like destiny calling, isn't it? You can't escape who you are. The magical world will find him no matter how hard the muggles try to prevent it. It's the inevitability of his true path.
Which leads directly to chapter 4, The Keeper of the Keys. Hagrid bursts in, literally knocking the door down.
You're a wizard, Harry.
The line. He finally gives Harry his letter, tells him the truth about his parents, about Hogwarts, about Voldemort. What does Hagrid represent for Harry here?
Hagrid is just warmth and truth and acceptance. He's the complete opposite of the Dursleys. He's Harry's first real connection to the magical world, his guide, and instantly a protective, kind figure. It's a moment of pure liberation for Harry.
Then chapter 5, Diagon Alley. Our first proper immersion in the wizarding world, the leaky cauldron meeting the nervous Professor Quirrell again.
Yeah, laying the groundwork.
Gringotts Bank, run by goblins, getting his robes, and that pivotal scene in Ollivanders where the wand chooses him, and the revelation about its connection to Voldemort's wand. Which part of Diagon Alley stands out most?
Oh, it's also wonderfully imaginative. But I think the Ollivanders scene is key. The whole concept of the wand choosing the wizard is so magical.
It is.
And learning that his wand shares a core with Voldemort's, that immediately sets up this deep, mysterious connection between them. It adds another layer of destiny and foreshadowing.
Chapter 6, The Journey from Platform 9 3/4. Harry navigating King's Cross, the Weasleys helping him through the barrier.
Another iconic moment.
Meeting Ron and Hermione on the Hogwarts Express. Then the sorting ceremony, where the hat puts all three of them in Gryffindor. What does this chapter establish?
It establishes everything. His entry point into the magical transport system, the beginning of his core friendships, meeting Ron and Hermione, is arguably the most important thing that happens to him, besides discovering he's a wizard.
Yeah.
And the sorting sets up the house rivalries and loyalties that will define his school years. It's the true start of his Hogwarts journey.
And the school year begins. We get the immediate rivalry with Draco Malfoy,
A perfect foil.
the growing friendship with Ron, Snape's instant and obvious dislike for Harry, that news report about the break-in attempt at Gringotts Vault 713, which Hagrid had just visited.
Little clues being dropped.
Then discovering Fluffy, the three-headed dog, guarding something on the forbidden third floor. And that Halloween troll incident, Harry and Ron saving Hermione, really cementing their friendship. Harry starts thinking Snape is after whatever Fluffy's guarding. How well does Rowling build the mystery here?
She does it masterfully. Weaving together the school story elements, classes, rivalries, friendships, with these growing hints of danger and mystery.
Right?
The Gringotts break-in, Fluffy, Snape's behavior,
Yeah.
it all keeps you guessing. And the troll incident is brilliant because it uses a moment of real danger to forge that unbreakable bond between the trio. They become friends because they face that together.
Then Harry anonymously receives the invisibility cloak for Christmas,
A very significant gift, as we later find out.
which allows him to explore. He finds the Mirror of Erised and sees his parents, leading to Dumbledore's gentle warning about dreams. Then there's the whole subplot with Hagrid hatching Norbert the Dragon.
Oh, Norbert.
Ah.
Hagrid's love for dangerous creatures.
Getting caught, setting him away thanks to Malfoy, and losing Gryffindor loads of points. How do these smaller adventures contribute?
They build character and the world. The cloak adds intrigue and enables later plot points. The Mirror of Erised is deeply emotional, exploring Harry's longing for family and the dangers of dwelling on the past.
Yeah.
And Norbert, it's partly comic relief, shows Hagrid's character, but also leads to consequences, showing that actions have repercussions even for our heroes. It makes the world feel more real.
The punishment leads them to Chapter 15, The Forbidden Forest. Serving detention with Hagrid, Harry sees a hooded figure drinking unicorn blood.
A chilling image.
And the centaur Firenze reveals it was Voldemort, desperately trying to stay alive, seeking the Philosopher's Stone hidden in the school. This confirms Harry's fears and makes Snape look even more guilty. How does this raise the stakes?
Massively. The Forbidden Forest itself feels like a threshold into darker magic. Seeing Voldemort, even in that weakened form, drinking unicorn blood, something so pure, is horrifying.
It really is.
And Firenze's confirmation makes the threat feel immediate and personal. It's no longer just a historical villain. He's here, he's active, and he wants the stone.
Which brings us to the climax, Chapter 16, Through the Trapdoor. The trio decides Snape's going to steal the stone that night, so they go after him. They face Fluffy, Devil's Snare, Flying Keys, a giant chess game.
Ron's moment to shine.
Absolutely. And Hermione's logic with the potions puzzle. Finally, Harry goes on alone to the final chamber. And there he finds, not Snape,
But Quirrell.
Quirrell, who reveals Voldemort is on the back of his head. The Mirror of Erised is the final protection. Harry, wanting only to find the stone, not use it, finds it appearing in his pocket. Quirrell tries to attack.
And he burns.
He burns when he touches Harry, thanks to the lingering protection from his mother's loving sacrifice. Harry passes out. What's the impact of this whole sequence?
It's just fantastic payoff. Each challenge plays to one of the trio's strengths. The reveal of Quirrell Voldemort is the big twist. And the resolution, with Harry getting the stone through his pure intent and being protected by his mother's love, it establishes these core magical principles of the series. Love as the most powerful magic.
Then the final chapter, Chapter 17, The Man with Two Faces. Harry wakes in the hospital wing. Dumbledore explains everything. Quirrell is dead. Voldemort fled again. The stone will be destroyed.
Closing that loophole.
He reveals he sent the invisibility cloak, explaining it was Harry's father's. He explains how the mirror worked. And then, at the leaving feast, Gryffindor wins the House Cup thanks to last-minute points for Harry, Ron, Hermione, and Neville's bravery. Harry goes back to the Dursleys, but something has changed in him. How does this wrap things up?
It provides closure for this specific adventure while setting up the future. The immediate threat is gone, the stone is safe. Winning the House Cup is a triumphant moment for Harry and his friends. But Dumbledore's explanations also hint at deeper mysteries, particularly about Voldemort and why Harry survived. It leaves you satisfied, but also eager for the next book.
Definitely. Okay, let's pull back the curtain a bit and look behind the scenes. It's amazing that the whole idea for Harry Potter apparently struck Rowling on a delayed train journey from Manchester to London in 1990.
Yeah, just popped into her head, pretty much fully formed.
And she started writing bits of it down on napkins. What does that kind of humble origin story tell you?
It's just another reminder that big ideas can come from anywhere, anytime. You don't need, like, the perfect setup. Sometimes it's just a spark on a delayed train written on whatever's handy. It makes it feel more achievable almost.
She then spent the next 5 years planning out the whole series and writing Philosopher's Stone. We already touched on her mother's death during this time, profoundly influencing the themes of loss.
Yes, making it much more than just an adventure story.
She also spent time living and teaching in Porto, Portugal. Apparently, key elements like the Philosopher's Stone itself and writing the Mirror of Erised chapter happened there.
Right, so different environments feeding into the creative process.
Then she returned to the UK, divorced, facing financial difficulties as a single mother, but kept writing, often famously in cafes in Edinburgh. What does that perseverance say about her drive?
It's incredibly inspiring. Writing a novel is hard enough. Doing it while struggling financially, raising a child alone. It shows immense dedication and belief in the story she had to tell. It wasn't just a hobby, it felt like a necessity for her.
And then the 12 rejections before Bloomsbury said yes. We mentioned the editor's daughter, but still, 12 times.
It's brutal, a lesson for any aspiring writer, really. Rejection is part of the process, and you just have to keep believing in your work. Imagine if she had stopped after rejection number 10.
The world would be very different. We also talked about the U.S. title change, and apparently there was an invented character on some early Spanish language chocolate frog cards.
Yeah, little oddities pop up in translations and merchandising sometimes. It's part of the fun folklore around the series now.
And the mirror of Erise spelled backwards is desire. Such a clever touch.
Perfect naming. It tells you exactly what the mirror does.
There were apparently some minor translation errors in early editions in various languages, like mixing up Fred and George's dialogue once in Spanish, or slightly inconsistent terms before things got standardized. Does that matter much?
For hardcore fans, maybe those early quirks are interesting collector's items, but generally publishers try to correct those in later printings to ensure consistency. It shows the challenge of translating such a detailed world.
There's also a widely circulated but false quote attributed to Rowling claiming the snake Harry freed from the zoo was Nagini, Voldemort's future Horcrux.
Right, that's been debunked. Always good to check sources. It shows how fan theories can sometimes take on a life of their own.
And since the original release, we've seen so many beautiful illustrated versions, anniversary editions. What do those add?
They keep the magic alive for new generations and offer existing fans a fresh way to experience the story. The Jim Kay illustrations, for example, are just stunning works of art in their own right. They celebrate the book's enduring legacy.
And finally, there was that early buzz where American fans were managing to get hold of the UK edition before the US release.
Yeah, desperate readers.
Yeah.
It already hinted at the phenomenon it was becoming even before it officially launched everywhere. The word of mouth was spreading like wildfire.
Okay, let's quickly touch on the main characters again, reinforcing why we connect with them. Harry Potter himself.
The orphan hero discovering his identity, defined by his bravery, loyalty, and that mysterious connection to evil. You root for him instantly.
Ron Weasley.
The loyal best mate. Maybe not the smartest or bravest initially, but his friendship is unwavering, and he provides so much heart and humor. Represents the importance of found family.
Hermione Granger.
The brilliant, fiercely dedicated friend. Often the brains of the operation, proving that knowledge and cleverness are powerful forms of magic too. Overcomes prejudice against her Muggle background.
Albus Dumbledore.
The wise, powerful, occasionally mischievous mentor figure. Always seems to know more than he lets on. Represents wisdom and the greater good.
Minerva McGonagall.
Strict, fair, fiercely protective head of Gryffindor. You wouldn't want to cross her, but you know she's ultimately good.
Draco Malfoy.
The school bully and early antagonist.
Sure.
Represents prejudice, entitlement, and the wrong sort Harry was warned about.
Neville Longbottom.
Starts off clumsy and insecure, but shows flashes of incredible bravery, especially standing up to his friends. His growth is really rewarding.
Rubius Hagrid.
The gentle giant. Harry's first friend from the wizarding world, full of warmth, loyalty, and a love for slightly dangerous creatures. Pure kindness.
Severus Snape.
The enigmatic, seemingly antagonistic potions master. His motivations are unclear, his hatred for Harry palpable. A huge source of mystery.
Quirinus Quirrell.
The surprise villain hiding in plain sight. Represents deception and how evil can wear an unassuming mask.
And Lord Voldemort.
The ultimate evil. Even in this weakened form, his presence looms large. Represents the fear of death, the lust for power, and the central conflict of the series.
And the key themes that resonate so strongly.
Well, friendship, obviously. The power of that bond between Harry, Ron, and Hermione is central.
Definitely.
Courage and loyalty, standing up for what's right, even when it's hard. The protective power of love, especially a mother's sacrifice.
Yeah, that's huge.
The classic battle of good versus evil. Self-discovery and finding your place in the world, and underpinning it all, that fear of death and the dangerous allure of immortality, which Voldemort embodies.
So much packed into one book.
Absolutely. And when you reflect on Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, you realize that beyond all the magic and adventure, Rowling was really planting these deep seeds about choice, identity, and the enduring power of love. So maybe something to think about is, how do you think these very first experiences, these first friendships and confrontations, really set the stage and shaped Harry's destiny throughout the rest of the series?
Ooh, that's a fantastic question to ponder. We could definitely keep talking about this for hours. We hope you all enjoyed this deep dive into Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. There are honestly so many more layers we could peel back.
For sure.
And speaking of exploring fascinating worlds through stories, we've got a great opportunity for you. If you want to immerse yourself even more in captivating tales, we invite you to click the link in the description of this video. You can get a free audiobook with your Audible trial subscription.
It's a brilliant way to listen to more amazing stories.
It really is an incredible opportunity you